But when I felt trapped, that's when doors would open. They said God makes a way, that's how I know I'm chosen. You can throw stones and try to judge me, but God loves me, God loves me. You can chastise and try to treat me ugly, but God loves me, God loves me. You can't be insolent and act like you're above me, but God loves me.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is what is the likelihood of Usyk beating Wilder or Fury to become undisputed? And I'm going to turn this over to Trill. Actually, no, I'm going to turn over to Trill. I'm going to turn over to G first. Go ahead, G.
I had a feeling he was going to do that. You know what I mean? All right.
I just feel like, you need to go before Trill right now. That's just how I feel.
All right. Yo, all right, let me preface this with, although I'm a wild...
No, G. We want the real G.
Yeah, y'all the real, but I have to say this because people feel
Ukrainian soup.
Ukrainian soup.
Ukrainian soup.
All right, hold on.
Does that mean anything to you, G?
He ain't got no power.
Listen. Let me say this.
Right hand of God.
Listen.
See, wait. Now you people at home are starting to realize, because you say we picked on G. We watched G dish Usyk for months on this show, right? So now we're coming back at G, and then people are going to be like, they're picking on G. They're picking on G.
Why
y'all G?
You know what I'm saying? All right. Likelihood. All right. Let me just explain. Y'all got to walk with me.
No.
Yeah, dude. All right. First, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I do not believe Wilder or Fury will come into that fight against Usyk with the strategy that AJ did. I think those two gentlemen understand their size and they will use it to their advantage against a Usyk. But again, I am no clue G this week. So what do I know? I'm not saying Usyk isn't skilled. He proved to me this dude deserves to be in the heavyweight division. He's a heavyweight champion right now.
I hope so.
Oh, I'm not even joking. And although, you're a champion when you defend, but I'm pretty knock on wood. I want AJ to win. I really do, but I don't know how he's going to do it in this short notice. But who knows? Maybe he get enough time to prepare. But when it comes to Fury, I already know Fury's just going to put his weight on him. Fury's not going to allow Usyk to do what he was doing that he did to AJ to Fury. It's just not happening, So Usyk's going to have to come up with a whole new strategy for Fury. Now with Wilder, right? The problem with, obviously Wilder has a lot of flaws. But I think what separates Wilder from AJ, and I'm just being honest, Wilder's going to at least try to go for the kill. He's not gonna do the pity pats and the pawing and all that stuff. Wilder's gonna try to take Usyk's head off. Right now, will Wilder miss? Likely, but if Wilder connects, it could cause a lot of damage for Usyk. Right. So I see Usyk outboxing Wilder. I don't necessarily see him outboxing Fury, but I do see Wilder actually knocking out Usyk, and I see Fury. Like, I don't see Fury losing at all to Usyk. Me, honestly, I have to be real. It's gonna be hard because like the skill sets that Fury provides in the ring, I think Usyk's gonna think twice. I don't think he's gonna take that type of those chances that he took with AJ against the Tyson Fury. He might do that with a Wilder, but I feel like Wilder, especially with the right hand, is faster than AJ, and so. Like at any time Wilder pulls that trigger, it could be a problem for Usyk. So I think Usyk, and similar to what Usyk actually did with AJ, if you notice, he always went to AJ's jab hand, not to his right hand. He was smart to do that. Wilder seeing that fight, I hope Wilder will pay attention to that fight to be like, okay, I gotta pivot with this guy if I want to land that right hand, because if not, he's not gonna land it. And Usyk showed that fight last night that he could stay away from AJ's dominant power hand. So I don't know. I hope so. The likelihood of Usyk being Wilder is more likely than him beating Fury. But both Fury and Wilder have a good chance of beating Usyk. And I hope that makes sense.
All right, we turn over to Dollar Bill.
The likelihood is good. The likelihood is good. Listen. we're definitely gonna I don't, and this is not an attack on my man G. Even though when our first ever discussion of Usyk, I remember we were sitting in the gym and we was both, putting in that work. And we both sat down. I thought this was going to be a moment where me and G shared, like, that bonding moment because we both tired, we both sweating, just got through throwing the mitts and stuff. G looks over at me and he says, "Your man's food." I thought we was gonna have a bonding moment, but he had to remind me that my man Usyk was food. So
my bad.
Oh wait, Trill. Let me just. G also said you tripping, Trill. Do you really believe that?
I didn't even know. I was like, yo, stop it, man. Stop it. You really think this dude gonna beat AJ? Listen. Oh, man. Hey, man, I can admit what I'm doing. Now, though, so I'm just saying that told me it was a draw. So I'm just saying.
Gee, don't come for me. Please don't come for me because I will ruin you right now. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I'm ready to talk on this. I'm ready to talk on this.
The Wilder, this is different for Wilder. This is not a guy that's a stationary target. This is somebody that is moving around. It's going to be very, very difficult for Wilder to land that right hand on a guy like Usyk. With Fury, everybody talks about Fury's movement, but Fury's movement to me is not so much of his feet. It's just like his awkwardness as far as his jerkiness and his what's the word? His feints. Yeah, his torso movement and feints and stuff like that. That's more of a Tyson Fury. I can honestly see Tyson Fury getting tripped up by Usyk, feet wise, with Usyk's movement. There was a time in that fight where Usyk got his feet on the outside and did the Loma joint where we do in the gym. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you hit and then you turn, and then when he turns, that punch is right there, right? I can see him doing that to Fury a lot and having Fury turn a lot. So I think the likelihood of him being able to be, because he's that talented. He is that talented. We're talking about the heavyweight Lomachenko when it comes to feet work. That's how I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say that. I think when it comes to feet work, he's the heavyweight Lomachenko. And the reason why I said that, and he's really, really, really good. Last night, his manager said that he's been waiting for his Muhammad Ali moment, right? And he got it last night. That was his moment. He's been waiting for his Muhammad Ali moment. And that was it last night. I believe that Usyk is that technically sound and that with his feet, man, you have to marvel at this guy's feet. I know you want to say that, he was once a cruiserweight, but he's a heavyweight right now and he's still moving like that. This guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry to be just wasting time, but he's going to be trouble for all these guys. He's going to be trouble for all these guys. That's what I was trying to say.
Like, if he actually beats AJ in the rematch, would Wilder or Fury actually take that fight for Undisputed? I'm so curious to see if they'll do it.
It's be too much. It's just too much. Yeah. It's just too much to want to do. I just see Tyson Fury, like I called it. I see Tyson Fury fighting his mandatory and riding off.
If Usyk beats AJ in the rematch, Wilder or Fury gonna call each other, you down for part 4? I'm telling you.
It was like, damn what Trill was saying.
Might happen now,
All right, looks like we got an angry TBE. Get in there, TBE.
All right, I'm gonna address this right away. All right, Usyk beating Wilder. What's the likelihood of Usyk beating Wilder? I'm gonna say 0. I'm not gonna say Wilder has an advantage. I'm just gonna say there's 0% chance that Wilder would ever fight Usyk. You know, there's 0% chance Wilder will ever fight Usyk.
It's a different type of cruiserweight. This ain't a cruiserweight with like 18 losses. This is a different type of cruiserweight.
Yep. With Fury and Usyk, I say it's 50-50. I really believe their styles are very similar. Just Usyk is very quick, but while Fury is he's more of a defensive heavyweight than an offensive. Yes, we saw him beating batter Wilder because we know what Wilder is. What is it? Wild Wings, Doritos, whatever U.S. meal you want to call it, whatever you enjoy for dinner on your pastime. That is Wilder. You want to mess up some fried chicken? Wilder. You want to eat a burger? Wilder. You know it's good food. Fury knows Wilder is good food. He's comfort food. But when it comes to these two, I feel like their styles.
Wait, name. He's from Alabama, so he's Southern comfort food.
Southern comfort. And you know that's the food we like out here, man. But when it comes to Fury and Usyk, I feel like their styles mirror each other. Where they're masters. They want to understand the sport. They don't want to go out here and do it the hard way. They want to do it the smart way. So for me, it's gonna come down to decision. It's just gonna be a boxing match that we may find boring or we may find interesting, but we're gonna see a lot of head movement, a lot of good footwork. We're gonna see a lot of great technique. And not to say, Fury versus AJ, Fury would beat. I feel like Fury may have got AJ in the first match, just like Usyk did. But I feel AJ just likes to study the sport where he would readjust in the second match. But this is a match where it's just up in the air. It's a toss-up. It's whoever comes well prepared, whoever lands clean, and whoever ducks when they need to, dodges when they need to, hits when lands when they have to, and misses when they need. Avoid the brutal punishment of the sport. So for me, it's a toss-up between Fury and Usyk, but Wilder, 0 chance he even steps in the ring. Zero
into a fight.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Don't interrupt me. 0 chance. I'm not finished. 0 chance. No. 0. I put a big 0. You see this? That's as big as my head, yo. 0 chance Wilder steps in the ring with Usyk after October 10th. Or
so you refuse to answer the question on the grounds that there's a 0% chance that Wilder will step in the ring with Usyk.
Yep. Go ahead, Kaden.
Hey, that's some sound logic to me. All right. What's funny to me is Usyk had a lot of disrespect going into the fight with AJ. People just acted like he was there to get steamrolled, and I couldn't understand it. And we all talk about it. I'm like, yo, I watch Usyk. I don't see what people are thinking. The only thing I can think of is some fighters' gift isn't as obvious as others. When you have a fighter who's knocking people out, it's easy to measure that fighter's gift is their power, because you see like, oh, this person knocks out 90% of the people they get in the ring with. When someone's gift is, speed, like they're visibly faster, you can see the speed advantage because it shows. Like when you see them throwing punches and everything, you see how fast their hands are. But boxing IQ doesn't show up. It's not tangible. It's just in someone. So you can't really see that. Timing isn't something that really shows up to boxing heads, boxing savants, people who watch boxing. You recognize a man or a woman with great timing. You recognize a fighter with great timing. But to people who don't watch the sport as well, they don't pick up on the fact that, like, man, this person's timing is amazing. Even when the person has great speed. Like Floyd Mayweather is ridiculously fast, but you don't know how fast his hands are because he never had to show it. His timing is so good. As soon as bang, as soon as the opening comes, bang, as soon as the opening comes, bang. He doesn't need to like sit around and throw all that. He doesn't need to do that.
Oh, and the polar opposite, George Joyce, slow as molasses, but his timing for some
exactly
he connect. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Joe Joyce, I think, is an even better example because Floyd's speed can sometimes, even if there's a margin of error, can offset. Joyce's timing is so good that despite him being slow, he still put hands on these dudes. You understand? Because his timing is that good. But that's something that doesn't show up. Like, that's something that's not as obvious. And the thing with Usyk is so many of his gifts don't show up to the novice observer or the casual observer because they just see him doing certain things and they're like, yeah, he's not knocking no one out though. His hand speed doesn't look blinding. And then you see him fight Joshua and you're like, yo, the dude is super fast because he had to be. That's the fight where he had to utilize it. Fighting Chisora, he didn't have to utilize it. It was to his benefit not to. He just needed Chisora to come in like a wild bull so he can pick him apart. So that's what he did. Against AJ, he had to utilize his speed more. This is what boxing IQ does. That's every time I watch. If I knew Usyk was that fast. I've seen him use his hand speed before. Don't you remember? Why am I gonna name people? But there was this one person who, like, they were telling him he wanted to spar me, and they were like, "Yo, he's super fast." And he was watching me like hit the mitts and do other stuff in the bag. When I don't do anything, he was like, "Oh, he don't look that fast." Then when we got in the ring, I couldn't not touch him. And then he was like, "I didn't know he was that fast." And everyone was like, "What are we trying to tell you? I don't throw every punch as fast as I can. What? I look like a moron, you know?" But like, what I'm trying to explain to you is Usyk is that guy. He does what he needs to do to win. That's why he's 19-0 and the unified heavyweight champion of the world, former undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, former Olympic gold medalist. I just think a lot of what Usyk does in there isn't understood by people who don't understand boxing at an advanced level. And I think that's why, like, some people look at Usyk and be like, "Yo, I don't see it in him." Well, guess what? He's a beast. Wilder, power. That's his gift with the right hand. It's true. I think Wilder's going to go in there with a mindset that he's going to take Usyk's head off. And I'm not necessarily certain that Anthony Joshua will win in there with that mindset. However, unlike Anthony Joshua, Wilder doesn't have the same technical skills that Anthony Joshua has. So if that power fails, Usyk's peppering him up with a hell of a lot more than he was able to touch Joshua with. Fury, on the other hand, I've seen him in fights with Otto Wallin where I felt like it was closer than it had to be. He's with Sugar Hill Stewart now. And I think even Fury learned what I'm saying to Joshua in that fight with Wallin, which is I got to fight big. I got to be the big guy. I need to go to a guy who's going to teach me how to fight like a heavyweight, who's going to teach me how to win these fights as a heavyweight. And so I still have to say, Usyk, I think, would be in trouble with Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury, at this moment, I think Tyson Fury would be his biggest threat. I think his second biggest threat is the rematch. And then I think Wilder is a threat with his right hand, but I just see Usyk boxing circles around Wilder. I said it before, I say it again. I think Usyk boxes circles around Wilder and decides if he wants to knock him out or not later. So to me, that's it. The likelihood of him becoming undisputed, I say the odds probably go to about 50% if he can get past Anthony Joshua. He's as good a chance as anyone if he can beat Anthony Joshua in the rematch. That's going to be probably one of his toughest fights to me, is the rematch with Anthony Joshua.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe and check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. You know who we are. We are the Boxing Bros. It's going down, baby.
When things seem bleak, walk with me. To navigate these streets, walk with me.